what I'm talking about. 102. Welcome to another edition and a special edition of Carton and Roberts. Craig Carton, Evan Roberts with you. Kind of a special show today. For those of you that may not be in the loop, we'll get into why we're coming on an hour early, although 2 years ago, Evan and I begged them to let us come on.
We tried that.
We asked. As a matter of fact, Spike promised us at one point we could actually start this show at 1 o'clock, but then it never happened. All good. No, appreciate those of you that might know what we're about to say and why we're on at 1 o'clock. For those of you that are just getting into your car or turning on the radio going, where's Tiki and Tierney? Let me just open by saying thank you to Tiki and Tierney for allowing us to come on at 1 o'clock. Evan treats, our time slot with great pride, and they do as well. And the fact that they were asked to kind of skedaddle an hour early, I do appreciate that. And I'm sensitive to the fact that this is an hour that is normally reserved for Tiki and Tierney. And them leaving and allowing me and us to do what we're going to do now couldn't happen without them saying yes, sir. It's their time slot. And as a guy who's been in radio for 30-plus years, I am sensitive to asking someone else to leave a studio during their time slot.
I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
And you know I love you.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Joe and I did middays and we would sign on at 10:22 certain mornings?
Yeah, well, that was to be fair. To be fair, Chernoff asked us to go late, as often as possible for ratings.
I'm sure.
No, today it's a happy day and a very sad day for me, and it's one of the most difficult days I'll ever do in radio because I'm leaving WFAN. I know there was a New York Post story a few hours ago that acknowledged that and announced that. That story is accurate. June 30th will be my last show on WFAN, and there's some aspects to that I want to be open about and clear about and direct about. I love Evan. It has nothing to do with Evan Roberts. It has nothing to do with anybody here. It has everything to do with me and my personal life and the opportunity that I have now via Fox Sports to do a show on Fox Sports 1. So if I can backtrack just for a moment, WFAN is family to me. WFAN is everything to me. I am a 30-plus year radio talk show host, and radio is all I've ever done well. Radio has been like a family member to me, starting all the way back in Buffalo, New York, making $12,000 a year, and going from city to city over the course of about 10 years, and then ultimately being fortunate enough to land here with Boomer back in 2007. And I love radio. It's all I've ever done, and like I said, it's all I've ever done well. So making a decision to walk away, not just from radio, but very specifically from WFAN, is not an easy decision. It wasn't when I made it. And now that that day has come where I'm acknowledging it and talking about it, it has not gotten any easier. But, I put myself, sadly, in a bad place a number of years ago. And as I look back on my life, 3 years ago to this day, I was nothing more than a number. I was known as 795-01054. And I woke up 3 years ago today in federal prison, a place that I was for a year based on bad decisions I made. And when I was that number, I dreamt about the possibility, among other things, of one day being able to restart my career. And that might have seemed silly at the time, but that dream helped me survive prison. The personal part of that dream was the potential opportunity that was never guaranteed to me to reconnect with my family. If you've ever listened to me on the radio, my kids are the most important thing in the world to me, always have been. And what many of you don't know is that when I got in trouble, and I want to be very clear, my self-inflicted trouble that led me to resign from WFAN 3 years ago, I was separated from my wife for 3 years. Literally the day after I got arrested, I did not live with my family. I did not see my children on a daily basis. I'm legally separated from my wife because of the shenanigans I was pulling 3 years ago. And as I laid in that bed as nothing more than a number, in addition to dreaming about the possibility of restarting a professional career, the real dream was, how do I rebuild my connection to the people I love the most, the people I disappointed the most, the people I let down the most? How do I ever look my kids in the eye again and say, your daddy's back? He was a knucklehead, but he's back. And those dreams powered me through prison. And when I got out of prison, I lived in a halfway house in Brooklyn. And then I was moved to a halfway house in New Jersey, still fully estranged from my family, recognizing, I had a lot of make goods to start, namely with family members, with friends, people I let down. And while I was starting to do that and attempting to rebuild my life, I had a saint in my corner. And that saint, and he hates it when I use his name, but I'm going to, is a gentleman by the name of Chris Olivero. Chris and I have known each other for more than 20 years. He was my board operator at WNEW back when I did the show with Sid Rosenberg called The Sports Guys. And he has maintained his support of me as a friend and really like a brother throughout all the ups and downs of my radio career. And when I got myself in trouble, he came to visit me. And he told me something in prison that if I ever got my life back in order, if I ever really got it back in order and had figured out why I made the bad decisions I made, that he would be there for me. No guarantees of a job, but that he would never stop being my friend. And having a guy like that as your friend, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Because not only is he my friend, he paved the way for me to come back to WFAN. And our relationship is so tight and so unique and so special that while I am leaving WFAN from a daytime, everyday capacity, I've been here without a contract for the better part of the last 9 months. And I come to work every day because he and I shook hands. And that handshake was when we figure things out, when I figure out how I'm going to work both jobs, WFAN and Fox Sports 1, that he and I would then sit down and discuss contractual parameters. But I've been here without a contract since November 1st of last year on my word, which people are starting to value again, and on a handshake. And the fact that we're at a spot right now where I'm leaving WFAN, it is not an easy decision, but it's a decision I'm making because I want to be the best dad I can be. I hope that I reconcile with my wife, who I've been estranged from time to time, who allowed me to move back into a home that she didn't have to allow me to move back into so that my kids could rebuild a relationship with their dad. And I'm forever in her debt, although we haven't figured out all of our issues, that she's allowed me to be a dad again, an active dad again, which I take great pride in. So I'm here today, and while I'm looking forward to the future, there's an aspect of this that I'm melancholy about. When I first left WFAN, it was under much different circumstances. I was in trouble and I was going to go away. This time it's on my own volition, but it doesn't make it any easier. WFAN has meant the world to me. If WFAN didn't give me the opportunity to come back and restart a career, no joke, I'm unemployable. I wouldn't be at Fox Sports 1. I'd be working, a 9-to-5 minimum wage job. I have no other skills that I know of, to get a real job. So walking away from WFAN is not easy. But from a personal standpoint, here's my day-to-day. I wake up every day, and I want to be clear, I'm not asking for tears. I'm not asking for a pat on the back. I do what I can to repay the people I owe money to and to try to support my family. So working's my job. Working's what I'm supposed to be doing to try to start righting all the wrongs in my life. I get up at 2:30 in the morning. I'm in New York City by 4 o'clock in the morning, and I host a TV show on Fox Sports 1 from 7 to 9:30. At 11 o'clock, I come down to WFAN. I prepare a radio show with Evan. I get home at about 7:15, 7:30. I have a 20-minute dinner with my kids. I take a shower. I go to bed, rinse and repeat, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I'm blessed to have both of these amazing opportunities. I really view myself as one of the luckiest people on the planet. 3 years ago, I was a number. Today, I have 2 amazing jobs. But the reality of having both of those jobs means that my family still suffers not having their dad around, not having potentially, fingers crossed, her husband around. And I take that seriously. And it got to a point where I just didn't think that both jobs were ultimately sustainable. And the longer I did it and the more tired I got, I wasn't going to be the best talk show host I could be on WFAN. I wasn't going to do the best morning show on TV that I could do on Fox Sports 1. And I thought that both companies deserved to have me at my best. Evan Roberts deserves to have a partner who's at his best, who watches every inning of every Yankee game and Met game and doesn't have to go to bed at 8:30. And yeah, you saw the first 3 innings, but what happened in the 6th? And unfortunately, from a standpoint of doing this job at WFAN, I started to miss things I otherwise would have seen. And I couldn't be the best talk show host I've been. And that wears on you, and it's worn on me. So over the course of the last 9 months, since I first started the job at Fox, Chris Oliver and I have had active, open conversations, and I want to be very clear about this. Evan has been a part of those conversations. My leaving is not a surprise to Evan. It is not a surprise to WFAN. I'm blessed that FAN has allowed me to try to navigate these difficult roads and ultimately make a decision that, selfishly, I think is best for my family. I'm a radio guy at heart. Always have been, always will be. And yet the challenge of trying to do a successful national morning show on Fox Sports 1 is something that appeals to me. It's a challenge that I want to conquer. And at this stage of my career, I feel like I'm up for that challenge. But to be fair to Fox and Charlie Dixon and the Fox family that's been very gracious, understanding that my time is being torn in 2 directions and their patience with that, I'm blessed that they've allowed me to figure this out in my own time. And, of course, WFAN means the world to me. So I have made a decision that I'm going to go full blast being the best national morning sports TV host I can possibly be. Now, I'm still going to be around. I'm still going to do the Hello, My Name is Craig gambling public service show on Saturday mornings. And I hope to maintain an active, amazing relationship with the radio station, with Evan and everybody else here. But as of June 30th, I will no longer be a full-time, everyday host on WFAN. And the ultimate reason are my kids. Because obviously my kids are my everything, as any dad would say and should say. And for too long a period of time in my life, and I wish I could go back in time and figure out why I made the bad decisions I made, I took that for granted. And I didn't treat them like the amazing kids that they are. And I wasn't around enough. And even when I was around, I wasn't there because I was focused on, gambling and money and things like that. So I have this great opportunity now that's been provided to me to be a better dad, to be a better husband, to be a better brother, to be a better son, to be a better nephew, to be a better friend. And I don't think I can do that doing both jobs. So I've made a decision, again, with WFAN being a part of it the entire way, with Evan being a part of it the entire way, that I'm going to walk away from WFAN on my own accord, recognizing that I'm walking away for something that I've been blessed to be successful at. Like I said at the start, the only thing I've ever done really well is host a radio show, and I take great pride in that. I take great pride in the fact that nobody else in WFAN history has been number 1 in mornings and afternoons. I take pride in that. And the reality is I never should have come to do afternoons because I never should have messed up having a great morning show with Boomer and Al and Jerry and Eddie. And those guys mean the world to me. And while those relationships have changed dramatically, my fault, not theirs, I take great pride in the fact that I was able to come back 3 years, do a new show with a new person in a new time slot, and be successful at it. And part of that is me also saying thank you to the audience. When I left 3 years ago, I turned my back on the WFAN audience that had been so gracious and good to me and to Boomer in making us, the number 1 morning show in all of New York for a decade. And there was some concern when I came back. I know I had the concern. I know Chris Oliver and I talked about the concern because he had it as well, as to whether or not the audience would accept me back. Whether or not there were people in the audience that would say, screw Carton, he turned his back on us. I'm not taking them back. I'll never listen to that show ever again. And I was concerned about it. I worried about it. I don't know if Evan and I would mesh together. If my style versus Evan's style, could come together and find a happy medium and do a show that we both went home being really proud of. And one of the great gifts to me, from a professional standpoint, is the fact that the show has been successful. We used to go from never talking about ratings to I reference them a lot now. Part of it's ego for sure. Part of it's because I'm just so damn proud of the fact that we did something that most people said we couldn't do. Evan Robertson, Craig Carton will never work together. Craig hates sports. Evan only loves sports. And that'll just never work. And to Evan's credit, it worked. I only know how to do it one way. Evan made it possible for me to do it the way I like to do it and make it successful while never losing focus of who he is and what he brings to the table. So to you, Evan, I'm grateful for that. I remember the day we sat down at my house in New Jersey, and you brought me rainbow cookies.
I did.
And I said, that's it, he's got the job. Now, you were not our first choice, as you know. No. But looking back on it, I don't think it would have worked with anybody else. So on a personal level, well, I know I'm kind of taking your career and, risking it to a point where you'd have to rebuild a new show with whomever they decide to partner you with. Here's what I know. You will be successful. This show is not successful just because I'm 50% of it. It's successful because you're 50% of it. And whether that was with Joe Beningo, with me, or whomever they put you with next, I have not a doubt in my mind that you will be successful. And while I know the last 9 months haven't been easy for you because there's been this unknown, am I going to leave or am I going to stay? And you've got two beautiful boys at home and a family to worry about. And my taking 9 months to make this decision was not easy on you. I apologize to you for that. And I appreciate the fact that you were patient enough to allow me to get to a place where I was able to make what I think is the right decision for my family. So the end of this is pretty simple. I'm leaving. I'm leaving on June 30th. If you want to hear what I have to say or see what I have to say, you'll be able to do that exclusively, obviously, at Fox Sports 1 in the morning, starting in mid-July. And I'm grateful to the Fox family for giving me this great opportunity. But they would acknowledge as well that they never would have given me that opportunity if I didn't come back to fan first. So without WFAN, I honestly don't know where I would be. I'm grateful to Spike Eskin, obviously to Chris, and to everyone in this building that's been supportive of my return, because I recognize there was a time when being in business with Craig Carton was not all that appealing. With telling people, hey, we're bringing Carton back was not all that appealing because I had betrayed the trust of the community. I had betrayed the trust of the listeners that make this the most special radio station in America. And while I'm very much looking forward to the next challenge, which is turning the Carton show on Fox Sports 1 into a major national success, I do it recognizing that I'm leaving in my rearview mirror my home, because that's what WFAN is my home. And I'm grateful that Chris and Spike and WFAN has allowed me to take the time I needed to make this ultimate decision. And I will say this, I'm very excited about the opportunity to be there when my 12-year-old gets home from school, to not, sit in traffic hoping I don't miss a piano recital, to know that I can be there when one of my other kids has some major event in their lives. Like the other day, sitting in traffic, going to watch Lucky playing an all-star football game, I know I can be at those moments. I can go to graduations now. I can go to events now. And I'm really looking forward to having one job and having the rest of my day free to do nothing else but just be a great dad, a great son, ultimately, fingers crossed, a husband, and all the things that come with normal lives. And while today's a sad day, it's also a happy day that I got to a place where I'm able to make this decision. And all I can say is thank you. I know for a lot of you, there's a group of you that are listening saying, good riddance. We can finally listen to the fan again and hear some sports talk. I know there's a group of you that are saying, I don't give a rat's ass. And I know there's a group of you that are saying, don't leave. We love listening to the radio. You do. And I appreciate all three groups and how you guys might all view what we do and what I do here. so differently. I love WFAN. I love it with all the emotions I can muster. This is a very, very special place for me. I wish the story didn't kind of come out the way it came out. I wish we could have controlled that narrative, and I wish I could have told you on my own without having to respond to an article in the Post. But I respect the fact that Andrew Marchand had the story. I can't deny that he's got the story because he's got it. And I do hope that you'll give me a shot. And for those of you that love what I do, listen and watch me on TV. But I know that Evan will be successful. The fan will live on far beyond me ever being here anyway. And I just want to say thank you to Tommy and to Big Mac, who I believe have big things coming. I bust your balls a lot. It's because I care about you, and I think you guys have futures on the radio, not just as producers and board ops, but as hosts. And I do hope that you get those opportunities and you make the most out of them. And I hope for whatever you think about me and my career, that you use me as a resource and you'll consider, picking up the phone and just calling to say hi or asking advice about a show, a career, an idea, and know that I'm here for that, 100%. And to those of you out there that I've started to rebuild relationships with, I thank you. I know I've got a lot more work to do, and you have my word that I am fully committed to whatever it takes to re-earn the trust that I may have lost based on my behavior a number of years ago. I feel like I'm a much better man now, a much better dad, a much better person. I'm blessed that I have not gambled in almost 5 years to the day, and I take great pride in that. And I think not gambling has allowed me to take the steps necessary to become a better person. And whether you like me on the radio or not, I can now look in the mirror at least, and I like the reflection I see. I wish I had hair, of course. I wish the wrinkles weren't there. But there's a period of time when I didn't like the person I saw when I looked in the mirror. And I can now at least look in the mirror with no shame and appreciate the steps that guy's taking to re-earn the trust of his community, his friends, his family, and be a better person and live a better life. And for me, that means June 30th, my last day here at WFAN. And we'll try to enjoy the last 2 weeks that Evan and I have together. And I wish Evan and whomever replaces me the very, very best. And that's really what I wanted to say today. Evan will join us after a break. We'll probably take some calls, but it was important to me to come on as soon as possible, which is why we're starting at 1 o'clock today. I was supposed to be off today. Evan's supposed to be going to his kid's Little League game today. And when we found out that the article was coming out, obviously we had changed those plans so that we could address it head on, not hide from it. We will be on the air tomorrow, full show, 2 to 6:30. And the next 2 weeks leading up to our final show together on June 30th. The softball game is still on Saturday. Team Carton and Roberts versus Team Tiki and Tierney. So looking forward to seeing everybody out there. And while I know I'm being a little redundant now, and I apologize for that, I want people to know more than anything else how special WFAN is to me, how the listeners are to me, how to all the people in this building, and how I recognize how fortunate and lucky I am that I have WFAN in my life. WFAN allowed me to change my life for the better. And the fact that they've been with me in lockstep for the last 9 months trying to figure this out, I'm just lucky. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. And I will never again turn my back on that. I'll never again make the bad decisions that I made a number of years ago because I don't get a third chance, nor do I deserve one. So thank you to WFAN, to Odyssey, to David, the owner of Odyssey, for bringing me back and blessing that contract and understanding why I had to leave now for the betterment of my family and my personal life. And I thank you all very, very much. We'll take a quick break. We'll bring Evan in, and we'll take you to 3 o'clock. I don't even know who's coming on at 3 o'clock. Do you guys know the answer to that?
Yeah, it'll be me and Sal.
Ugh.
Yeah, no. Thanks for that. you got to go out the same way you came in. There's no doubt.
I mean, you got to be who you are, right?
That's it.
So
be you, Craig.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Let me take a very, very quick break. We'll bring Evan in, and we'll talk more about this and the changes coming, I guess, to WFAN and my decision to leave WFAN in just a moment after this.